Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to part 3 of Are You a Saboteur of Your Own Success? In this episode, I'm going to be talking about things that I do, my 3-step method to moving beyond sabotaging my own success, right? And my 3-step method is simple. It's own it, work it, solve it. That's it. Own it, work it, solve it. When I say own it, I mean own the problem. Accept responsibility for what you've done, right? Look at yourself in the mirror. Nobody has to be around. This is not one of those moments where you got to stand up in front of the church and confess all your sins. This is between you and the Most High, nobody else. But you got to own it. You got to own it. Ain't nobody else got to be in the room. This ain't got nothing to do with nobody else but you and the Most High. Own it. Figure it out and own it. You know what you did. Regardless of whatever it is, own it. Say to yourself, I did that. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I did that. And say that I'm sorry. Ask for forgiveness. You may not ever get the opportunity to stand in front of your victims. You may not ever get the opportunity to say that I'm sorry to anybody else. You might not wake up in the morning, whatever the case may be. But it's time for you to own it. It's between you and the Most High. All you got to do is say, I did it. It's that simple. It's that simple. I know for me, it took me a while. You know, I'm not going to sit here and stunt. It took me a while to get to that point to where I could own it. Because, you know, I committed murder. And that was hard for me. You know what I'm saying? I affected 2 families, man. 3 when you include mine. Right? Those are the direct victims, in my opinion. But then when you spread it out, you know, the community that I affected, the friends and families of mine and my victims, I can only imagine, man, what that felt like for them. You know what I mean? I can only imagine. But not understanding that level of pain made it hard for me, you know, until I started to relate what happened to me when I was younger to what I had done as an adult. And when I did that, I was able to feel that. And I'm going to tell you, it didn't feel good at all. It was one of those gut-wrenching pains that just, it's like somebody grabbing a hold of your heart and squeezing it to the point to where you can't inhale, you can't breathe, but it's like, and the tears start to come down your face and you don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you conclude that I am responsible for this. I'm responsible for all this pain. But you got to own it. You got to own it. The second step is working it. What do I mean when I say work it? Figure out what the problem was. Why in the world would you do something like that? That's why that first step and that 4th-step thing that I talked about as far as how to identify and to see if you are a saboteur of your own success, that's why that's important. You have to really do some soul searching, man. You have to do some soul searching. It's not enough to say, I did it. You feel me? It's not enough to say I did it. You got to ask the other question, why? Why did I do it? Why did I do that? Of all things I could have done, why that? Why this option? You have to figure that out, all right? You have to. That's what I mean by working it. You have to figure that out. You have to really look deep, and you got to be honest. And sometimes you might need some help with that. You know what I'm saying? You might not be able to see what you need to see. Others may already know the answer. Ask them. Ask your family. Ask your friends. Ask people that you trust. And tell them, look, that I'm working on myself. And I need you to be honest with me. Did you see anything that was going on with me that maybe I didn't recognize? Did you see any signs of stress? Did you see any signs of whatever? Ask them and tell them to be honest with you. And don't you hold it against them. Open that door. Rip off that Band-Aid. It's time for you to take a dose of reality and just swallow it, man. You feel what I'm saying? Don't be afraid of it. And that's what I mean by working it. That's what I mean by working it. You got to work it. And the last step, solve it, man. Now this is where it gets beautiful. This is where it gets beautiful. Because the first part of solving the issue is that you have to accept that you cannot solve the problem. I know that might not make any sense to you, right? By that being the third step, right? But what I mean is that by saying that you can't solve it, is that you have to have some help. You're gonna need the Most High. That's what's worked for me. I don't know if you're a believer or not. It's between, you got to examine it for yourself. But for me, I had to have the Most High. I submitted to Him. I said that I cannot do this by myself. I cannot do this alone. And when I did that, the Most High put people around me that I could talk to, my family. They've always been there, but I had to get to that point to where I could say, I did this, man. I did this. And that's hard to say to people that you love and admire, people that look at you and show that disappointment on their faces, but at the same time, they'll still embrace you. It's hard to do, but you have to do that. And you'll only get the courage and the strength to do that through the Most High. He supplies that. We can't do that on our own. You know what I mean? And when you get to that point, those people around you are gonna, in God's name, hold you up, lift you up, give you that encouragement, that pat on the back to say, it's okay. I'm disappointed in you. I wish you wouldn't have done that. You should have came to me. You're gonna hear all of that. But that is part of the remaking. That is part of the solution. You feel what I'm saying? You have to hear all of that. You have to hear all of that. And that's what I mean by solving it. This is not a long episode at all. It's straight to it. Own it, work it, solve it. Remember that. Own it, work it, solve it. That's how you're going to get through this. Trust me on this, man. Trust me on this. I've been doing this for a long time. And I feel good. I'm finally at a point to where I can actually talk about this stuff. And it's going to be a hard road. It's going to be a hard road, but you can do it. I know you can. I know you can. I believe in you. You just got to believe in yourself. With that, this has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Peace.